All right. Hey, my name is Sean Bray. I'm HEA's newly elected vice president. Welcome to the Hypnosis Education Association's HypnoConnect. HypnoConnect is a monthly interactive meeting where we discuss the uses and benefits of hypnosis, the misconceptions and fears of hypnosis techniques, and much more. Join us each Wednesday, first Wednesday of the month, as we feature hypnosis practitioners who share their expertise with you. Our mission here at the HEA is to offer knowledge and education of the nature, uses, and benefits of hypnosis to professional hypnotists and to the general public, to reduce misconceptions and fears about hypnosis, and to establish and promote a hypnosis code of ethics. We host 2 fun-filled in-person conferences each year featuring experts in hypnosis. Our educational events provide professional hypnotists with continuing education credits. And also our public outreach committee submits monthly associated press releases about the positive uses and benefits of hypnosis. And like what we're doing today, we host monthly meetings to share things with you. Our members are adults with an interest in hypnosis, experienced and novice professionals, and retirees in the field of hypnosis. We welcome members from all over the world. Our presenters share things they find are working for them in their hypnosis practice, and many offer special certifications and licensing to use copyrighted protocols, so be sure to ask before adopting. Today, we have something super special for you. My beautiful wife, Melanie McCool, is here to share her expertise on a topic that's extremely important for both practitioners and for the general public: burnout recovery hypnosis. Melanie developed this protocol to save herself from the clutches of burnout, and she now shares it with fellow hypnosis practitioners so they can help those suffering from this debilitating condition. Melanie is known as the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist. She's a certified master trainer of hypnosis and the owner of MindWorks Hypnotherapy, as well as co-founder of HypnoBiz in a Box. And she's HEA's newly elected president. With over 20 years experience as an entrepreneur, Melanie combines the neuroscience of success, money mindset, sales confidence training, hypnosis, and NLP to quickly remove subconscious blocks to end cycles of procrastination and self-sabotage. She has too many certifications to mention them all here, but suffice it to say, she's an expert in the field of burnout recovery hypnosis. You can check out all those certifications and learn more about Melanie on her website at mindworksco.com. And now it is my pleasure to introduce my wonderful wife and your newly elected president, Melanie McCool, as she presents burnout recovery hypnosis. We're going to do a little musical chairs here.
Awesome. All right, you awesome humans. Hey, everybody. All right, there's Jody coming in. All right, I want to welcome you all
And I'm going to go
today.
over here and man some chats.
Excellent. And I would love to hear from you. I've got the chat open over here. And we will be opening to Q&A after the presentation. This is the way we'll run tonight. And I can't wait to hear from you. But before I even kick off, I just want to say I'm so grateful to have you here. This is incredible amount of fun for me to present here in the Hypnosis Education Association. The story of how I got here is one of really feel very honored because my instructors, the people that certified me, actually asked me to be the president. So that feels fantastic, doesn't it? Patricia and Michael Watson. And so before we get started, if you would please do drop in the chat who you are, where you're from. And I know that we've got people from Canada, from Hawaii, from Washington State, from North Carolina, from Wisconsin. And I just want to know, we got Maine. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So with that.
Hey, Sharon. Hey, Brian.
I'm going to dive right into our presentation for this evening. And please note, at the end, we are going to open for Q&A and to see your fantastic faces. So please, but as I go along, if you have any comments, if you know, as as we're going, if you're like, yes, I can totally resonate with that. I've seen that in my clients or anything like that. I've got the chat open over here. So I'll see that as we're going through. So as Sean said, burnout recovery hypnosis is something that was born out of necessity for me. Real briefly, in 2017, I experienced what the World Health Organization defines as a mental syndrome. Okay, so this is actually, not only does the World Health Organization name overworking a leading cause of death, okay, so just put that out there. It also, they call burnout as a mental syndrome, and it is associated with workplace stress. So chronic workplace stress that hasn't been mitigated, hasn't been effectively managed. And the symptoms, as they say, are it's an exhaustion that you can't really rest from. So, having a weekend away doesn't do a darn thing for you. And depersonalization, which really means you've got a distance from your work, or even you're experiencing a type of, it feels like cynicism, resentment. Essentially, you feel angry about work. And then, as they say, and it sounds so peaceful, diminished sense of personal achievement, right? What that means is you don't get anything done, right? This is the ultimate, it's not just procrastination. When you're at this level of unmanaged stress, when your body and mind are that overwhelmed, essentially there is a stop. Your mental capacity is not available to do the work. And so it's a kind of conservation measure. So diminished sense of personal achievement, if that equates to can't get anything done. And this is really expensive. It's expensive if you're talking about employees, and so companies. This costs companies fortunes because there's decreased performance, increased levels of absenteeism, and staff turnover. So the numbers I found on this were it can cost up to $1 trillion every year. So burnout causing $1 trillion every year. And so it's the turnover can cost a company up to twice their salary, right, to replace someone. The lost productivity from depression and anxiety disorders from this syndrome is $1 trillion a year. And then there's the healthcare costs, right? So I'm going to say again that, and let me stop share for a moment. And I say that the World Health Organization calls it a mental syndrome. And so they do not classify it as dis-ease. But what we also know is that one of the leading reasons that people go to the doctor at all, medical care, is because of stress-related disorders, stress-related dis-ease. So even though the World Health Organization's definition is of a mental syndrome, so the anxiety and depression is totally wrapped in, the medical side of it isn't really mentioned. And I just want to be really clear on that. Though what we know is that the decreased productivity, the cynicism, the exhaustion, it actually comes from brain changes, right? So that's there. It's incredibly serious. That goes without saying. It can cost a fortune. I'm sharing. We're in the right place. Good. Awesome. And it costs a fortune in medical cost and medical care too, just to be really, really clear. Now, that's on companies. If you're working with entrepreneurs, then the relentless cycle of long working hours and sacrificing mental and physical health and happiness is something that most entrepreneurs can relate to. You, as a hypnotist, probably can relate to this at some degree. but the ultimate cost is business failure. Okay. And that is where I found myself in 2017. I was unable to do the work that I had done for the previous 17 years. It's really easy for me to do the math because I started as an entrepreneur when my daughter was in my belly. So the previous 17 years I'd worked, I developed an expertise, and I was a top earner, and I could not do a darn thing. There wasn't a creative bone in my body. When your brain changes, right? The human part of you, the creative side, the one that can think about the future and make plans, it essentially has no energy, no power. So the cost for entrepreneurs is entirely on their shoulders. And this is why my mission is to educate people about burnout, its, its symptoms, and then what I have found to be incredibly effective in helping people to recover from this mental syndrome in weeks instead of needing a sabbatical. Okay, so companies, if you're in the corporate world, companies actually give employees sabbaticals to, be able to bounce back because the stress is just overwhelming. If you're an entrepreneur, you can't necessarily take that sabbatical, right? If you do, you're not getting paid. So I am passionate about helping people to avoid burnout in the first place. And if they have experienced burnout, to really understand what it takes to bounce back. Because when I experienced the burnout, and I went in search of all of the things that they say to do, reduce your stress, get more sleep, yoga, meditation, self-care, take a break. I was doing all of those things. And there was one thing that was missing. And the one thing that was missing is something that we as hypnotists are uniquely qualified to help people with. So please note, this is something that you can help people, and people have no idea that this is what they need to bounce back or to avoid it in the first place the next time around. Okay. So I'm going to talk now, and if any of what I've just spoken of resonates, or if you've got any comments, please let me know in the chat, whether you've seen it in your clients, if you work with entrepreneurs yourself, if you are one and you're like, oh my goodness, I know about burnout. I really experienced it. And yeah, it's not just a mental syndrome. It's totally physical. Been there. Yeah. Brian, you come from a similar world, sales, right? This is sales and marketing, right? There you go. Yep, for sure, Spencer. Awesome. Thank you. And my story is that chronic stress, I didn't even know what was happening to my body before I had already really burned out my adrenals and half my thyroid. So it's and I thought I'd be dead. Like, there's a reason that one of the leading causes of death in women is heart attacks. And if they knew what we're going to talk about tonight, I think that we could like reverse this. And not just that, but can we not help people to have a healthier relationship with work, with the work-life balance, with all of that? Anxiety and hyperactive. That's exactly right, Brian. Me too. That's exactly what I had. Hyperactive. Thank you. Woo. All right. So let's dive in. Appreciate your feedback. So when I was in that mode, I was doing all the things. I actually was meditating for hours a day because I felt like that was the only thing that was going to keep my heart, keep me out of the ER for heart palpitations, for anxiety attacks. And when I was in meditation, I found that I found a wall. And when I say I found a wall, it was like I couldn't get past a certain level to help myself to understand how I could resolve this problem. And that wall, when I went in search of what it was, there was actually a name for it. We call it the critical faculty or critical factor, the gatekeeper. And I was like, oh, this is a real wall. It's not just something in me that's keeping me from healing. Well, let me find out what this is or what to do. And thanks to, it was something I read from Bruce Lipton. It said, seek hypnotherapy. It said a couple other modalities, but I was like, hypnotherapy. That's the answer. I'm going for it. That's it. I'm in. Like, I'm all about the most efficient way to help myself to overcome a problem. And if that was it, I was finding it. So I went for it. And so what I found was that I'm going to give you the 5-step method right now. And the second part of this is something that most people have no idea should be crucial, critical, the thing to help them to bounce back from burnout without having to take a sabbatical. Okay. So number 2 is why hypnotherapists or hypnotists are the key, why you are, or if you're interested in it, why you should be. All right. So step 1 is to mitigate that chronic daily stress. Okay. So I call this cultivate the neurochemistry of flow. And the key is to really do something like listen to a deep stress reducing hypnosis or heart coherence every single day. So the neurochemistry of flow being or another way of putting it would be the neurochemistry that neutralizes the biochemistry of stress. So the cortisol that's all built up in the body that's wreaking havoc in the body, the adrenaline and the epinephrine that's running through the system, doing something like heart coherence or listening to deep hypnosis. We know that hypnosis is going to neutralize the biochemistry of stress. It increases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which essentially neutralizes that stress. So it's non-negotiable to do something like this every day. And in fact, I have my clients do it 3 or more times a day. And it lasts for hours. So I think one of the questions that might be coming up, because I meant to mention it earlier, is that this 5-step method, I typically see them over 6 sessions. So in the first session, we are majorly focused on this mode, this habit, I call it radical self-care of mitigating that stress every single day. Okay. And so that's essentially what we do in session 1. I will, lead them and teach them how to do heart coherence themselves and instruct them that you're retraining your nervous system. And that at first you might feel a little bit, at first it might even be hard for somebody to bring up any positive feeling. It grows over time. Okay. So we do that, and then I'll do what I call a stress dump. And I'm just going to ask for your input in the chat. Yeah, it's called heart coherence, Brian. Essentially it's an ancient technology. It's built into our body, and the neurons of the heart speak to the brain. So the heart actually tells the brain what the brain is like the pharmacist. It just fills the order. So you teach them to bring those peaceful, loving, joyful feelings of gratitude to their heart. Now, even my doing this right now, it triggers that in my body. There's like an anchor in me. I do this and I can feel the and you teach them how to bring that into their heart space. And the communication between the brain and the heart grows. And the pharmacist goes to work. It creates dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And you can look up heart math, heart coherence. But I'd love to hear in the chat, anything, and you can call it what you want. What do you give people as a stress dump? If there's other things that you find that have been really effective and really helpful, I would just love to hear it from you too while we're here, and drop it in the chat, because we could all, learn from each other. Isn't that right? All right. So session 1 essentially is teaching them to this radical self-care, to take care of themselves every single day. And the presenter page says the next step is to recognize that you can run the heart coherence every single day. But if you are continuing to experience the number one source of 24/7 stress that's between your own ears, okay, it's in your mind, then it's like you have a fire extinguisher, but you're running into the burning building every day. And most people have, and this is where we come into play, because most people have no idea that they can dump the negative thoughts. They can ditch negative subconscious beliefs. They can ditch the inner critic, right? The comparisonitis, I call it, imposter syndrome. They can, that negative, cynical voice that's running the show a lot of the time. And this is what we do for them and with them. We teach them to develop a peaceful mind, because otherwise you can do all the heart coherence in the world and they're still going to have to, go back and put out the fire in their body. But if you can teach them to be more positive, motivated, and self-supporting, it makes all the difference in the world. So I'm just going to pause right there, because I just want to be really clear that the reason why we're here is that you can recognize that the whole world knows that burnout is a problem. Okay. The world knows burnout's a problem, but they don't know that they can develop a peaceful mind. They don't know that the number one source of 24/7 stress is between their own ears. They don't know that they can, I literally just spoke to someone yesterday, and they don't know that they can bounce back from feeling like they lost their ever-loving mind, because when you've gone all the way down to the other end of burnout, you have lost your mind. All of your energy is going on in fight or flight, the amygdala, right? Your prefrontal cortex, your human brain, the one that, can help you to fight your way out of a paper bag. It's done, right? But with a hypnotist, we can really help them to turn that inner talk around, to reprogram. And so I just love to hear your feedback on that. Recognizing that when you've helped somebody to eliminate their inner critic. Yeah, I can see that over here. We're good. Thank you. I've got that up. I don't know what's going on in the group. That we can really help somebody to change their life. It's not just about them bouncing back from burnout at this point, as you probably can recognize, but I call it eliminating self-sabotage. And whether they're an employee and they're sabotaging themselves because they're overgiving, they have no boundaries, they're overworking, they're saying yes to everything, right? Or they're a entrepreneur who's living the same life, essentially, who has sacrificed their own health, mental well-being, and it just kind of sneaks up on you. So a technique I've used for myself and teach clients how to change thoughts. Yeah, I think we all have one of those, right? Or at least one. We probably have a whole toolbox full of techniques that you use for yourself. Self-hypnosis, teaching them, the heart coherence it's like self-hypnosis. It's just the goal being stress dump, right? But then how to change thoughts, how to become more positive, motivated, and to be more self-loving, self-care, and less self-sabotage. That's really the outcome of developing a peaceful mind. Ultimately, for me, is that they're self-supporting instead of self-sabotaging. All right, so the next thing, okay, so you can imagine that's self-accepting. Love that, Spencer. Thank you. The next thing is, so now you can imagine you've got your client. They're doing heart coherence all the time. They're sleeping better, right? They're feeling more confident about themselves. They've got a positive inner talk happening. At this point, when you say to them, okay, let's talk about your, your daily habits, your work-life balance, the types of things that you can do to take care of yourself and your relationships and your health. At this point, you can actually approach that with them. When they show up in your office and you say to them, you need to breathe and eat better and spend time with your loved ones and do some healthy walks and stuff. At that point, they're probably so frazzled. They're like, I don't have time for anything. What the heck are you talking about? But at this point, I call it embodying prosperity. Prosperity being all of the aspects of our life that bring us a sense of fulfillment and joy. Right. So at this point, they can embody that. They can take action to do the things that bring them joy. So I'm going to ask you this because it's easiest. If I were to ask you, what are the things that you know bring you great joy, that help you to feel really wonderful about life? And these are probably things that you don't quite do enough of right now. Okay, if you could just drop them in the chat, because everybody's got them. Maybe some of you live near a lake, and you just, when you're out there on that lake, the whole world could fall apart, and you just know you're at peace and everything's good. Or you know that when you're feeling really good, you typically eat better, right? You choose things that are better for your body. Or you really just love to spend more time with the people that you love. Right? So these are playing. That's exact. And you know what? And sometimes people just tell me, I see playing with my grandkids, being outside in the garden. Some people just say, you know what? When I play with my dog, because people who are stressed don't tend to, they're not even paying attention to that relationship, to playing with the dog. So like, oh, you know what? I feel great when I play with my dog. Right? So at this point, you help them to make a list of these things. But my friend, it's not enough to make a list. Then we've got to get them to calendar it in. So here's the thing. If it's things like playing with your grandkids, being out in the gardening, going for hikes, dancing, laughing, just straight up laughing. If these are the things, then our job is to keep them accountable. We help them to make a list and we get them to calendar them in. So it's not enough to say, oh, you know what? I used to do yoga. I'm going to do more yoga. Okay, you're going to do more yoga? When are you going to do yoga? Oh, well, I'll do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, where? How? With who? It's got to go on a calendar. Or you and I both know it's not happening. And or if it's the self-care of taking better care of the foods that you're consuming, plan, like actually having them plan that out. Well, what's that look like? Oh, well, right now I haven't been to the grocery store. My refrigerator's empty. I'm living on takeout. Okay. So then what makes sense? Yeah, Eric, yes. So the thing that makes sense is for you to help them to make a plan. And then, you know what you do while you're in hypnosis in that session is you actually help them without giving them too many suggestions. You just let their mind play out. What are the habits that serve me now that have nothing to do with those old habits that caused the burnout in the first place? What is honorable to the person I am today? Right? You let their subconscious mind then go through their days, their weeks, the mental rehearsal of actually embodying those activities. But you also say, all right, so you've told me that you're going to, I don't know, go to yoga, plan a date night, hike, eat some salad. Maybe it's not salad, but whatever that is. And you help them really make that list and come to the understanding that they're the only one that's going to love themselves enough to heal themselves through the burnout ultimately. Yes, you've given them this tool of, the stress dump, whether it's heart coherence or a hypnosis recording, perhaps that you've given them to daily listen to. At this point, they're probably over insomnia. Thank God, right? That was one of my things. It's awful. Um, but it's not something you're doing to them, it's with them. So this part is where they begin to really take action from a new mind. So between embodying prosperity and taking action from a new mind, there's something called trust your gut. So when someone is in the depths of burnout, they are they have a really hard time making decisions. And so one of the things you get to show them and teach them how to do is, once they're doing more things that bring them joy, which actually increases that happy dose every day in ways that are practical, that don't involve having to sit down with headphones or do heart coherence, right? So now they're laughing more, perhaps they're doing all those things. From here, they're going to notice that they can begin to consider making decisions that are in the direction of their goals, right? Or what they want. And they can begin to trust themselves again to be in decision-making mode. Now, how many of you can tell me that when your clients come in who are completely frazzled and whatever, they don't even know what they want to do next in life? They have no idea. A lot of them just come in and say, I just don't want to do this work ever again for the rest of my life. That's all they know, is because they're stressed to the max, but they don't have a decision-making bone in their body. Does that resonate? So step 4 is actually to trust your gut. So they're walking through the world now in a different vibe, a different vibration. They've got their neurochemistry of peace going daily, not just peace, but the happy dose. I'll say it again: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And they're doing things that bring them joy, and probably are the types of things that they used to do before they lost themselves, which is what people will tell you when you're on the phone with a consult. I don't even feel like I don't feel like myself. I went, I could just quote clients, which is basically the same story. I went out and I did this thing, but then I just kind of stayed to myself because I didn't feel like myself. So they've got themselves back and they can begin to trust their gut. And from here, they can take action from a new mind. Okay, so that, my friend, is step 5. As they say, you cannot, the same mind that caused the problem can't solve it. And so from this place, they can take action from a new mind. I take them into a process and I ask them towards the next, as they're coming up, what is your next right step? And letting their genius, subconscious brilliance tell them what their next right step is. And I know, I've seen this and heard this in many different protocols. It's basically saying, you know the right way, what's best for you next. And getting that information from inside of them rather than saying, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Because obviously we're not advisors. We're letting that come up from inside. So that's 5 sessions, the 5-step method. First, we help them to cultivate that neurochemistry that neutralizes stress. 2, we help them to reprogram their mind so that the number one source of 24/7 stress that's between their own ears is, that's behind our own ears is out of the way. 3, we help them to consider the habits that they know bring them joy. I just use simple words, joy and bliss, and just ask them, what are the kinds of things that that you would be doing if you were taking, you gave yourself all the time in the world, right? What would you do? And then from there, you can ask them, so what are the kinds of decisions that you're going to make from this place, from a new mind, right? And then they take action from a new mind. It seems very simple, but I promise you that without step 2, they're gonna end up in burnout over and over and over again, because what I've learned is that it's not just about habits. It's habits of thought, it's habits of action. And ultimately, at some level, a lot of us become addicted to the neurochemistry of stress, which is really dangerous. And so without the step number 2, people will find themselves circling right back over and over again. And I think if I asked any of you who experienced burnout more than once or just once, did you just burn out once? How many times have you burned out? Did you weren't? Yeah, what do you want more of? That's right, Eric. How many times did you burn out? I will tell you that I can actually track over my career 54 times. Oh my God, Spencer, are you all right? I can tell you, I know I burned out at least 4 times, because those were times in my career where I literally just said, I hate this, and I burned it all to the ground. Business failure being an outcome. Okay. And before what I think of as the big one, Jody says 3. Yeah. So it's over and over again until step 2 is really worked out. And then you can be your own best friend. I mean, this is ultimate outcome, is we're teaching them to be self-supporting, that they become their own best friend, and that they would create the habits that they would never experience burnout again. And if they're an entrepreneur, this is crucial, because actually, I'll ask those of you who have been in practice for a long time. That's right, Brian, like you, business burnout led me to hypnotherapy. That's so, it's awesome, but it's like, whoa. Do any of you have people in your office that ever show up, or on your in your practice, that ever say, I was really successful, and then this burnout thing happened, and now I just can't seem to get back to it. I'm afraid that I do that to myself again. That's something to say. Or they'll tell you something like, that relates back to the recession of 2008. I'm like, you are dealing with that stress here today still. So who is best to help them to get over the fear that the past will replay itself in the future, but us, right? I feel that way, afraid I'd do it to myself again, right? Sharon, you could do it. You totally, you can be your own best friend. We can all do this. Passion isn't even the word. I'm screaming from the rooftops. All right, so I do have, I created a workshop to educate entrepreneurs on the fact that we don't have to work ourselves to death in order to be successful. I've got some pretty radical ideas, that some things like, the happier you are, the more money you make, because it's not so radical. When you have brain health, you can be in peak performance, and your genius mind can actually access all of the knowledge and the experience that you've had. And so we do make more money when we are taking best care of ourselves, the radical self-care. And most of us, not most of us, all of us, 2 things happened at some point in our childhood. And this is beyond the whole conversation about trauma and overachievers. Okay. I'm not even going there right now, but almost every adult that you're going to meet was taught, and this is going to play in whether they're entrepreneurs or employees, was taught at some point that to work was to be a respected, loved person. So at some point, some younger than others, they were taught that to be productive and to work was how you became a respected, lovable adult. And virtually everyone was told to stop. You get your head out of the clouds, stop dreaming, and that playing they probably got in trouble. Okay. So I'm here to tell you that your brain needs to play. Everyone's mind needs to breathe and play. And that is how you can have that solution-oriented thinking that can help you to solve the most massive problems. And without play, without rest, without decent sleep, we're actually just, we're underperforming. And so entrepreneurs have this idea that you just got to work yourself to death. And I could, again, if it took hard work to make a whole lot of money in 2024, then billionaires would sure be dead, wouldn't they? That's the only argument I can give. Like, there are so many ways and so many ways that we can powerfully, change the way somebody thinks about even money and how it's made and all of that. All right. So with that, I believe
Brian had a comment.
yeah, better to work through a problem rather than to repeatedly fret about it. Heck yeah. Solution-oriented thinking. That's the difference between, healthy worry as an adult is solution-oriented, and anxiety is the swirling around where there is no solution, right? Yeah. So all right, let's do it. Okay, cool. So I am going to stop the share and I'm going to bring everybody on. Hopefully I can do it all in one fell swoop. We can all come on. Maybe. All right, folks. So I love your feedback, questions, anything at all. Given this presentation in such a short format is, feels a little rushed. There's a lot of nuances to it, but hopefully educating you about why you are uniquely positioned to help people who are dealing with a mental syndrome that leads to incredible amounts of medical syndromes. Hopefully that's been helpful. So you can just go ahead and unmute, pop out, and Eric, I don't think I've met you, so if you would please just tell me where you're from. Everybody, actually, if you didn't already, type in the chat where you're from, where you practice. I'd love just for everybody to get to know one a little bit. I'm from Texas, Scotty says. Awesome. So any questions or feedback or anything at all? Should we?
Melanie?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I've had several clients over the years who work for large institutions. Their pay is pretty good. Benefit packages are really good. Work is boring as hell.
Yeah, right.
And so they're operating in this world with no real meaning for them in it. And I only got 18 years to go before I can retire and buy a camper.
Oh, Eric, we have met. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have those people, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things is I have them recognize that you can't just throw it all away. Just, that's probably not a good idea. Even if somebody is wanting to transition from whatever they are doing to something else, so some people are burned out from their work, they want to transition to being an entrepreneur, something like that. You can't just break it and start something new. That's just not going to be a healthy way of transitioning in life. So for those people, you ask them what are their options, and their options probably are that they will find meaning in their life outside of their work. It's probably going to mean that they're going to have to say no to more things in their work day. Like if they're overworking now, they're going to have to learn boundaries and say no, and to actually work only the hours that they're supposed to be working. So then they can find meaning in something else. And it could be that you're going to help them dig in and find out what that thing is that really lights them up. Because we all have it. If you were to ask me what would you do, Brian, if you could do anything, one thing, and you'd be like, if I had nothing else to do, I would love to do lots and lots of, what is it?
Fishing.
Yeah, fishing. Awesome. So
I live in Canada. That's what we do.
Sure. You fish. And mine would be probably something to do with music and the rest. Yeah. Right. Dancing. He's got it. Yeah. So yeah, that's we all have that. And we have people who are like, I've been running this family business for, 25 years and I'm gonna run it, but I'm really unhappy. So,
I,
okay, well, what would you do if you could give yourself some time to actually have some happiness and joy in your life? And then the work doesn't seem like you resent it so much.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause
I had a client several years ago. His dad had built a pizza organization, making pizza, and then he sold it for $30 million. And he said my dad kept 10 million. He gave my brother 10 million, gave me 10 million. And now I'm lost and I don't know what to do with myself.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to help him kind of see a little bit bigger picture.
Yeah. Who would you be without this?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
would you do?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's some things that we can do to take them back to when they were like between 7 and 12. Like,
Yeah.
what did you want to be when you grow up? Like,
Yeah.
and it's somewhere in there. And they might say, well, I want to be a ballerina. Okay, well, maybe at 54, we don't start being a ballerina.
Yeah.
Right. But what could you do? Well, I still have great knowledge about it. I could teach, I don't know. You let them find it though, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
help them to dip into that place in them. So yeah, awesome.
A technique that I've used for myself and with other people in times of darkness, when I ask myself, okay, Brian, you're not happy right now, but when were you happy?
Hmm.
And my mind went back to the years I was in sales, and there's always a few sales calls each year where you're showing up with the answer that the client's having some big problem, and it's always very gratifying. And I realized helping people, that's how actually one of the steps I got into finding hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
So it's going back and asking yourself, rediscovering that past happiness, and then making use of that in your present day to help you find this new happiness again.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Awesome. So anybody else who's experienced burnout want to chime in or say, things that you've helped with your clients?
Yeah, I have a question. So, just to clarify, having been through burnout, having gone through the adrenal fatigue, having gone through a year of not wanting to get out of bed,
Mhm.
are you saying that you can? So, I'm not burnt out now, but I am so afraid of
Yeah.
getting to that point that I know I wall off opportunities because I don't know how really, I know how, but I don't necessarily continually stay in a state of flow, if you will. But are you saying you can get to a point where you don't even fear it anymore?
I will say that it's going to take you putting the rules in place. I actually came up with a term. I call it my rules for life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the rules for life, I don't even need to do it anymore, but I kept a paper calendar for a really long time so that I could see what I was doing. And I could see the white space on my calendar, which meant that I could breathe and eat and go dancing if I wanted, whatever I needed to do. Right?
Mm.
So there was a time period of adjustment where I had to make sure, and this phrase that I use, I'm my own best friend. I had to remind myself sometimes I'm the only one that's going to make sure that I don't burn out again. That's it. It's just me.
Yeah.
So nobody else will. And then I also, and I help my clients do this too. When you're feeling good, what do you eat? What do you do for yourself? What do you this and what do you that? Because we all go through times of the day, week, month, year where things get crazy and you throw out all the things that you do when you're feeling good. So if you have a physical list and you say, you know what, when I'm feeling good, I go for walks, I eat this way, I make sure I make time for this, I sit in the sun. I mean, whatever the list is, they'll tell you, oh, well, I do this when I'm taking good care of myself. Okay. You're your own best friend. You're the only one that can say, that's the list. Go grab the list, especially when you don't want to. Like, that's exactly it. It's like, I don't want to. I just want to eat this whatever. And I don't have time for that. And your brain starts going, but your higher self, you're the one that's going to take care of you. The own best friend is the term I use, steps in and goes, hey, sweetheart, you need to go sit in the sun right now for lunch. You're not going to grab that food and sit at your desk because that's not what people who are taking care of themselves do. That kind of stuff. Yeah. That's the beginning of it. And then over time, the rules for life, they get crazier. When I say crazy, I mean, that's when I say like the rules for life would be like, well, how might it be that my practice would bring me twice as much money with half the work? Just asking the question and letting it roll around, not looking for the answer, my friend. But even if you're just saying, I want my practice, I want my business to make twice as much money with half the work. I wonder how that would be. I wonder how that works. And then the opportunities show up, the ideas come. Because before you're thinking, I don't want to work. I'm afraid
Yeah.
to work too much, right?
Mhm.
Because you think money equals
Work.
burnout and work,
Burnout. Exactly.
right? But what if money just gets to come because you've got genius that gets to go to work? And it can when you sleep and you eat well and you play and you have fun and you say no to most things so you can say yes to the right thing. So all of that. So it's a process. I can't say, and you know what? There are days when I still have to hear, hey, you get up, go dancing. I'm like, we're gotta go today. We're leaving. This must happen today. Sometimes, and it's not me, it's like, it is me, but it is me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's him. Yeah. So yeah, you got it. You could do this. Ask the best questions. And Eric, I totally recognize your name. I didn't realize. Eric, what is your experience with hypnosis and hypnotherapy? I think we must have met in 2009-ish. Am I right? No? Nope. He's like, nope. I can't hear you. You have no microphone. Boop, boop, ba-doop. And somebody's here from Sydney, so it must be Thursday in Sydney. Thursday morning. That's so awesome. I think it's Thursday morning. I don't even know. It's Thursday. I just know it's tomorrow, which makes no sense. All right. Well, brilliant. Does anybody else have anything they want to contribute? Anything? Yes, Thursday morning. Oh, awesome. Cool. We met in
I'll
class.
add to what Sharon was saying
Yeah.
about that fear of, burning out. I've been through it 3 times, not 54 times yet. Hopefully I won't get there.
No.
But one of the things more recently that I've been working with myself a lot, and I do the same thing with my clients, is working on creating a new self-image for yourself. So similar to one of your steps where I've spent a lot of time, because I have a very deeply ingrained self-image of myself working, 10 hours a day, doing all those things that I did when I was in education, running schools. I did it. Then I came out as an entrepreneur, built a business doing it the exact same way, which was the second burnout. Then tossed that nonprofit. So I'm familiar with burning it down. Then I tossed that nonprofit. Then I was like, oh, I'm going for profit because then I really control everything. And then did the same thing with that. And so I can relate to the idea that it's like, oh, am I going to do this same thing again? And I'm like, until I see myself different, then I really am. And so I've got to work on what does, my life look like when I am working less, but making more. And so it really is crafting sort of that mental image of yourself.
That's the rules for life. Like my business makes me more money with less work. Like that's just a rule. I'll figure it out. Life will construct itself around me. But I that's really a good point, because when you get the calls, people will try to tell you all the reasons external to them why they're burning out. But as you just said, Dr. Tanya, it comes with us. Until you make the internal changes. Because I'll ask them, is this the first time that you've had experience? Oh no, I guess it was in my old job too, and when I was a teenager. And right, so that's why we as hypnotists can help most effectively, because it's not external. Awesome, thank you. Anyway, anybody who's been through my Zero Burnout Business Growth or my Program for Prosperity, if you want to chime in and tell me that you recognize a lot of what we talked about tonight, that'd be awesome. All right, awesome humans, I think.
Yeah, I say maybe we stay right where you are.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
just kind of go through those slides.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. We invite you to please submit an application. So we have a call for presenters that's out for our spring and fall conferences, as well as HypnoConnect, which is what we're doing here today. And you can find that on the Hypnosis Education Association website, .com/conferences. So everything is going to be, and I'll copy and paste in the link to that website right in just a moment. But everything that we're going to be showing you here is going to be available on the website. Just look around, you'll find it. So
Yeah, and let me just state that the call for presenters, yes, it's wonderful to have people who are certified master trainers of hypnosis, but it absolutely does not need to be that. If you have something that a protocol that you've used, something that, or some insight that you have that you want to share with hypnotists that you know would really help them, please come on. Then you definitely don't need to be a speaker either to come on the
Right.
monthly HypnoConnects. So.
We're just interested in, things that are working for you
Mhm.
that, you think might be interesting for others to, try out. So let's go ahead and move to and
This is a not-for-profit organization run by volunteers.
so if we need committee chairs for events, meetings, and the events are going to be a blast. I promise you. I love coordinating events, and so it'll be something a little different. So we need help with meetings. We've got some initiatives going out. One of them is diversity. Another one, I didn't put it on here, but it has to do with the medical community and hypnosis. One of our board members is helping to, tee that one up. And then if you, can help with public outreach or social media, basically anything that you think you might want to contribute, shoot us, a message and contact us, or, if you're already in contact with me, then just shoot me a DM and, let's chat about it.
And actually, right on the website, there is a contact us. So if you'd like to be a volunteer, the easiest thing to do would be go and find that form and just say, hey, I can help with XYZ. There's the speakers applications on the website, contact us is on the website. And we would really appreciate it.
Let's go ahead and go to the join us next month.
Sure.
So we'd love for you to join us next month. Bring your friends, and we will be featuring somebody who is, I don't think that he's a master trainer, right? He's not a master.
He actually is a
Yeah.
certified master trainer
Okay,
as well.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that in his bio. But we'll have Wayne Walker here, and he's going to be talking about understanding personalities is a superpower. And that'll be next month on the 6th at 6:30 p.m. And we're also considering maybe having some different time, slots so that our friends across the pond and in Australia can join us without having to, peel their eyes open.
Actually, Australia is fine. It's the European. So we're thinking of running, another time of the month because we have some really brilliant people that want to, come and teach, and I want to hear them. So join us next month. If you've registered for this Zoom, you're already coming. But if you're on the Facebook Live, we'll drop the link for you to register so that you can be reminded about next month.
And then finally, but certainly not last or least, is please join the HEA. Membership bonuses include conference fee discounts, CEU opportunities, complimentary educational materials. And you get to network with practitioners and master trainers, and we will be developing a membership directory.
Yeah.
And you can find that also on the website. So, it's a great deal.
Actually, I've got a crazy special.
Oh, she's gonna do it.
Listen, I'm the president and the board doesn't really know about it, but that's okay. So here's the deal. When you join the Hypnosis Education Association, you get a free ticket to our spring conference. It's in Florida. It's right here in Newport Richey, May 4th, but it also will be recorded. So when you join the HEA, you get a free ticket. It's not just a discounted ticket to the conference. You get a free ticket if you want to show up in person. We'd love to have you. But even if you're all the way in Hawaii and aren't going to fly to the very other end of the world, or Washington and come all the way to the other side, or
We'll come
Canada,
to you.
Canadian, wherever we are, we will record it. You will have the recordings of the conference. So that's my crazy president special. And that goes for everybody who's on the Facebook as well. So everybody in the group hearing that's for you. So we'll drop the link for you to join the HEHA. Awesome.
Other than that, I think it's a wrap.
I think it's a wrap. That was fantastic. I had
It
fun.
was. It was.
Did you guys have fun?
Thank you all for joining us.
That's
But wait, there's more.
right, Eric. All right, awesome. All right, with that, we're gonna wrap up tonight. See you all next time, and I'll see some of you a lot sooner than that. All right, be well. Bye
All right,
bye.
take care.
Bye.